Hey, welcome back to the channel for another build. Today we have a 1JZ non-vvti S14 in, and I've already done some work to this car already. I did the charge piping last year sometime, I believe it was, and yeah, today we are going to tear this car apart, replace all of the hot side stuff essentially. So we are going to be upgrading to this Pulsar 3076 with the T51R mod. We got a stainless 103 rear housing, and we're gonna do a manifold, downpipe, exhaust, and take off this old eBay setup, I suppose. It's worked great for him, but he wants something a little bit nicer and something he can trust and not have to worry about going to fail on him at the track. So him and his dad reached out to me and wanted to upgrade his car. So it's a pretty clean S14. There's his Instagram if you want to check out his drifting and whatnot. Super clean car. Pretty excited to work on this car once again. So I guess first order of business is going to be taking off this old turbo setup and exhaust and dive into making the manifold. And got all of our pipe laid out. We've got various stages of like polish. Gonna go ahead and prep all of that, including the straight pipe, and then we're going to model the manifold once I get the flanges jigged up with this Icengineworks block kit. So that'll make making the first manifold pretty easy. And then once that's done, I'll have a jig and I'll be able to make manifolds for this setup. Alright, so we got all the old turbo stuff off. Looks like a tile, not sure if that's real, wastegate, OBX manifold. Not even sure what that turbo is, but like I said, this stuff treated Kevin well. Hasn't had any issues with it. Manifold's not cracked. Everything looks fine, honestly. He might post that stuff up for sale if anyone wants a budget JZ or 1JZ setup. But as you can see, we've got a lot of room to work with to make this new manifold for Kevin. So pretty excited to come up with a 1JZ design. I haven't done a 1JZ yet, so excited for that. So we got the old manifold on the bench. I actually really like the turbo placement of this manifold, so I'm gonna use it for mock-up for making the jig. But before I could do that, I had to go to my buddy Andy's shop and take these are inlet flanges for the turbo, and they are male female, so that it seals perfectly on the housing when they're clamped together. Super sweet design. One downfall, nobody makes or sells a flange that's female. So I took a flange over to Andy's. It's got this little lip I need to sand off, but Andy let me use his lathe, and I turned a male flange into a female, like so. So now I can use this flange for the jig that I'm going to make for this manifold, so I can make more of these. So this will get welded to the fixture or the jig, and that'll be permanent to the jig for the manifold. And then I can clamp that together and start building to it. But before I do all that, I actually had to order materials to make the jig for this. I thought I had material, but I don't, so that should be here tomorrow. In the time being, I didn't want to cut a collector, so my buddy over at Odyssey Fab sold me this cool laser cut collector that he has in stock. It's even laser cut for the wastegate. So this actually saves me a ton of time with fabricating, and basically I just got to put it together and weld it, and weld it to the flange. So I'm gonna go ahead and bevel all these because they're not beveled, and yeah, this should be pretty simple to put together and weld up. Got the collector all tacked together. Definitely need a little bit of fitting, some massaging to get the collector to line up good on the inside, but got it all good, ready to go for some welding. Put some nice bevels on each runner, so when I weld that together, I'll be able to get good penetration. So collector is all welded up. Came out decent. Welded inside. So now it's time to do the jig. So I ordered this C channel because I thought the material, or I thought I had the material that I normally use for these, but I didn't. So ordered this. Didn't realize that these would not be. Yeah, I didn't realize these weren't going to be as flat as I thought they were going to be. You can see on the edges, it can rock. So that's not good. I don't want the flange when I bolt it down to potentially rock and not have it trued up to the jig. And also when I weld it, I'm going to be welding it to the jig to help prevent it from warping. So I didn't want it to like pull the edges weird. So I had this tubing here already. Just gonna double up, weld them together as flat as I can possibly get them, and then I'll have the base for my jig for this manifold. And I'll just drill holes all the way through. Use my countersunk hardware with nuts on the backside, and I'll weld the nuts to the backside so everything's perfectly lined up to bolt in flanges over and over again and make sure they're located the same. So I'm gonna go ahead, clamp this as flat as I possibly can, and weld these together, drill some holes, weld some nuts in, and then locate the collector in the jig, and then we can start putting this manifold together. Alright, so we got the base for the jig all drilled out. And we got the backside opened up and cleaned up the metal on the backside for tack welding these nuts on the backside. And using this countersunk hardware, so when we bolt everything down, it'll center on the bolt holes on the flange, and then when I tack the nut in, everything will be perfectly located for if I do another manifold on this. The flange will bolt in exactly where the last one bolted at. And then when I have the collector located, there'll be like a V-band welded up, and I'll be able to locate these every time. And this will be a repeatable part that I can sell as many as I want, as long as people want to buy them. So I'm gonna go ahead, get everything bolted up, and tack these in. Got all the nuts tacked in, and I use flange nuts because it's easier to weld to the jig, because you don't really need to add any filler. You just kind of crank the amps up and blast a few spots, and that also helps with keeping heat out of your jig and deforming it. So I'm gonna go ahead, let that cool off, and we're going to bolt this manifold on, because I actually like the turbo placement, and I'm going to fixture just the turbo placement off of this manifold, and then we can start running runners to the collector. Got the jig all finalized and welded up. Went ahead and located the V-band just centered on the T3 flange. When welding jigs together, you gotta be careful with when stuff wants to pull. So I only welded on the sides. It might pull a little bit, and it's not really that critical because I'm doing just the same amount of welding on each sides. But if I were to weld on the back side or the top, it could potentially pull the flange away. And if it does, I can go through and throw some weld if there's a little gap. You know, it's gonna tighten that up. So when I unbolt this, hopefully it's still in the same spot, but it's easily fixable otherwise. So let's go ahead and give it a look. Just the slightest little bit of air gap, but pretty happy. I wasn't super concerned if it did pull side to side. If it pulled this way, it would place the turbo a little bit farther back in the bay. If it pulled this way, it would have just moved it a little bit farther forward. And with going from this old turbo to the new one, it's a lot more compact, so it's already going to be sitting back the front of the turbo about an inch back already. And that's just lining up the V-band center of the turbo flange in this one. And we are going to gain some more clearance back here because we don't have this 5-bolt flange adapter. So turbo's way more compact, so I wasn't concerned about this moving side to side if it did at all. And if it did pull this way, it might raise the turbo up some, but also wasn't super concerned about that as we have a lot of room to work with. Gonna go ahead and pull the manifold out and get the new flange bolted in place, get the collector mounted in place. Still need to figure out where I want to position the wastegate, so I kind of have an idea. Not totally set on that, but yeah, we're gonna get all that bolted in, and we're gonna start playing with the Ice Engine blocks and mock up a manifold and test fit it. One cool thing about the Icengineworks blocks is you can take it apart and just give it a quick little test fit. Obviously, some of them have moved a little bit, but it's clears everything pretty good. So just a quick little reference, and now we can start turning the plastic into stainless. Now that we got the jig built for the manifold, we got the manifold mocked up with the Icengineworks blocks, I'm going to end the video here and start off the next video of this little mini series of this build with turning the plastic blocks into usable stainless pieces. So that being said, here's a nice little walk around of the manifold. Pretty happy with how it came out. No tight radius 90s in this, it's all long radius. I didn't really focus too much on trying to make it equal length, but it's a lot better than most manifolds. Not that it really matters that much for a turbo application for performance gains. It's mostly for sound. So this is close. It's not quite equal length, but I'm pretty happy with the design. So see you on the next episode.